So he insisted that everybody empty their pockets and start to strip. My brother refused to strip, protesting his innocence, at which point his murderer started to count down. After the countdown, they began to fight.
So tell me about your childhood and your relationship with your brother.
Growing up, we had a happy childhood. There was 4 of us and Mum at home. We were mischievous, we were cheeky, and I'm sure that she would say that we were a handful. We had lots of friends growing up and a large family. In the summer we would have parties where Mum would hire bouncy castles. We'd have barbecues and all of the neighbours from the street, their children and their families would come and join us. Overall, it was a really happy childhood with lots of memories. We used to take holidays to Spain with Mum and my brothers. We'd go to the beach, we'd go to the park with all of the kids from the estate and we'd play rounders. Just really happy, no worries.
What's the area like that you live in?
We grew up in Wythenshawe, which is a council estate in Manchester. In the 1990s, Wythenshawe had a really bad reputation. There was a high crime rate, high unemployment and complete disregard for the law and lack of respect for the police. There was lots of empty houses and lack of anything for the community.
What was your brother's personality like?
So John was pure of heart, he was fun-loving, he was cheeky, and I think that earned him a lot of respect. He was well known by so many and everybody loved being around him. This particular incident wasn't gang related, it was just a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person. My brother was really well known. For an 18-year-old lad, he was known by thousands of people. And I think that just shows who he was as a person.
So what happened to your brother and what happened on the day of the murder?
On the 14th of June 2010, myself, my brother and my family gathered at a local pub to celebrate my grandmother's 80th birthday. It was a beautiful event. We didn't stay out late with it being an 80-year-old's party, so we were home for about 7. We gathered outside my mum's garden, just chatting, having a good time, just enjoying the summer. And I saw my brother leave and go off to one of his friends. And that was the last time I ever saw him. He was 18 years of age at the time of his death. On the night in question, he was at a friend's house and one of the friends had invited some other guys over. During the course of the night, one of the guys' mobile phones had been classed as missing, so he insisted that everybody empty their pockets and start to strip. My brother refused to strip, protesting his innocence, at which point his murderer started to count down. After the countdown, they began to fight, and then the co-accused hit my brother over the head with a speaker, knocking him out, and a 15-inch knife was plunged through his heart and he was left to die alone on the floor. His murderer and co-accused ran, as did one of the other people in the house. Tensions following the murder were really high across the youths of Wythenshawe, so much so that local events had to be cancelled and shops closed early because everybody just took to the streets. They didn't know how to process the grief that they were feeling and they just wanted to be together, but that had other people worried that, you know, it could escalate and violence could occur. Thankfully that didn't happen, but it just shows what a strong impact this young 18-year-old had on so many people.
What weapon was used in the crime?
It was a 15-inch knife that was used to murder my brother.
What was the attacker doing before the murder? What was his life like?
I don't know too much about his attacker's life prior to the murder. I do know that he was well known to the police and that he was involved in knife crime and robberies prior to being convicted of my brother's murder.
How has this affected you and your family?
Following my brother's murder, we've gone through all of the emotions: grief, anger, resentment, fear. I personally have struggled to build relationships with people due to having serious trust issues. My brother was killed by somebody that he knew, and that's just something you don't expect, and it makes you question.
Do you think there's a problem nationally with knife crime?
There's definitely a problem nationally across the UK with knife crime. Last year alone, over 50,000 incidents were reported with knife crime, and that's a 4.7% increase since last year.
What work are you doing in regards to knife crime?
With regards to the work that I'm doing to tackle this, I'm meeting with community leaders and local volunteers to arrange a knife amnesty in Wythenshawe, Manchester. The idea is a safe, anonymous space for anybody, but especially children, to come and hand in their knives, any weapons that they have whatsoever, there'll be no repercussions. I'm going to be working with Greater Manchester Police to support this initiative. We will also hold an event on the same night which showcases local artists, local businesses who want to get to know the kids of Wythenshawe. They want to network with them. They want to potentially offer them a job or a future. He was so lovable and he was brave and he fought for those who were in need, and I think that got him a lot of respect within the community. On the day of his murder, hundreds of people came to my mum's house. They lined the streets, and that just shows what an impact he had on the wider community.
What does life look like for you now?
I live a really full life. I have a really good job which makes a difference to people worldwide. I travel, I go on holidays to locations at the other end of the world, and I do things that make me happy. But no matter how happy I am, there's always something missing, and that something is being able to pick up the phone and tell my brother about all of these amazing things. John's death has taught me to appreciate everything in life and take absolutely nothing for granted.
What message would you give to someone who was lost through knife crime?
When you lose somebody in any circumstance, whether it's knife crime, illness, it's really difficult to process that loss. To somebody who's lost a loved one from knife crime, the only thing that I can really say is that brighter days are ahead. Right now, if you've lost somebody recently, it feels like your world is never going to reopen, but it does, slowly. And you never forget the person that you've lost, ever. In fact, I live my life knowing that I'm living it for myself and for my brother, because he had so many opportunities taken from him.
What would you say to people who are carrying knives?
It is a difficult one because kids are carrying knives for protection. They think they need protection. What makes it even more difficult is that they actually do need protection. So what could I say to a child who was carrying a knife to protect themselves? Don't do it. What other options are there? If you grow up on a council estate, you don't want to be going to the police. It's just not done. People can't go to the police who live on council estates. Like, that alone puts them at risk. So what would I say to a child who thinks it's acceptable to pick up a knife? Do you know, it's sad that you almost forget. I'm just thinking of words here.
Yeah.
Like, it's been 15 years since I've seen him and I don't remember what he was like anymore.
Yeah, don't remember the voice and everything.
Yeah, and that's the saddest thing of this, is like, all I have now is pictures. John believed that every human life was precious and he was grateful to be alive. He actually studied Buddhism and he followed the teachings of the Dalai Lama, and this is a scroll which has a quote from the Dalai Lama. Every day, think as you wake up, today I'm fortunate to have woken up. I'm alive, I have a precious human life and I am not going to waste it. I am going to use all of my energies to develop myself, to expand my heart out to others, to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. I am going to have kind thoughts towards others. I am not going to get angry or think badly about others. I am going to benefit others as much as I can. Things have improved in Wythenshawe. It's an evolving city. There's a great sense of community and there are more options for people now to keep them off the street. The houses are full. We have a multicultural society and we have seen reduced crime rates in recent years. In fact, there are now some areas of Wythenshawe which reported zero crime in 2025 so far.